Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, we are from group 3 and now we are going to present our material about annotation in corpus linguistic. But before that, let me introduce our group members. First, Tiasniken Palupi with student number 21, Ibnu Adam with student number 24, and Fikaret Yadini with student number 35. The first material will be presented by Tiasniken.
So, what is corpus annotation? According to Leach, 1997, annotation is the process of adding such interpretative linguistic information to an electronic corpus of spoken and written language data. Corpus annotation is concerned with interpretative linguistic information. Interpretative here means that annotation is the product of the human mind's understanding of the text. Next is the advantages of corpus annotation. According to Leach and McEnery, there are at least 4 advantages for corpus annotation. First, it is much easier to extract information from annotated corpora in a number of ways. For example, without part of speech tagging, it is difficult to extract laugh as an adjective from a raw corpus as its various meanings and uses cannot be identified from its orthographic form or context alone. With part of speech annotation, these different uses of laugh can be readily distinguished apart. Corpus annotation also enables human analysts and machine to exploit and retrieve analysis of which they are not themselves capable. Next is annotated corpus is a reusable resource. Considering that corpus annotation is costly and time-consuming, reusability is a powerful argument in favor of corpus annotation. Next, annotated corpus is multifunctionality. Corpus analysis may be reused for a variety of applications and even for purposes not originally envisaged. And last, corpus annotation records a linguistic analysis explicitly. Corpus annotation stands as a clear and objective record of analysis that is open to scrutiny and criticism. There are also 4 criticism or disadvantages of corpus annotation. First, corpus annotation produces cluttered corpora. However much annotation is added to a text, it's important for the researcher to be able to see the plain text uncluttered by annotation labels. Second, annotation imposes a linguistic analysis upon a corpus user. The lack of annotation simply disguises the fact that such multiple interpretation still occur when researchers use a raw corpus. Next, annotation may overvalue a corpus, making it less readily accessible, updatable, and expandable. The reason for not making an annotated corpus publicly available is that the copyright issue related to the corpus data prohibit it. Last, it is related to the accuracy and consistency of corpus annotation. There are 3 basic methods of annotating a corpus: automatic, computer-assisted, and manual, which have their own contra that will be explained in the next slide. Next is how corpus annotation achieved. Corpus annotation can be achieved fully automatically. In automatic annotation, the computer works alone as an annotator by following the rules and algorithms predefined by a programmer. Developing an automatic annotation tool may cost time and money, but once it is complete, large quantities of data can be annotated rapidly and consistently. There is also the semi-automatic annotation process, which produces more reliable results than fully automated annotation, but it is also slower and more costly. And last, there is pure manual annotation, which occurs where no annotation tool is available to a user. It is expensive and time-consuming. Most types of annotation presently available in large corpora were introduced either semi-automatically or manually. There are so many types of corpus annotation, such as part of speech tagging, lemmatization, parsing, semantic annotation, conference annotation, pragmatic annotation, stylistic annotation, and many more. The first type of corpus annotation is part of speech tagging or post tagging. It is one of the first widely used type of corpus annotation and the most common type. It is useful for a wide scope of application ranging from disambiguating homograph to more sophisticated uses such as computing the occurrences of word classes in a corpus. It can be performed automatically for many languages with a precision rate good enough for most research questions. The annotation tool which assigns post text is called a tagger. The best known and most reliable tagger is clause. The system employs a hybrid statistical approach enhanced by a rule-based component called the idiom list. This tagger is achieved an accuracy rate of 97% on general written English. The post-text used by taggers such as clause can be stored in different encoding formats. For example, the first issue that an annotator must address is how to segment the text into word token. The process of defining legitimate words in a running text is referred to as word segmentation or tokenization. Word tokens can be considered as a default with three main exceptions: multi-words, mergers, and variably spelled compounds. To give an example of how a system may treat such cases, clause treats a multi-word expression as a single lexical unit called ditto text. Ditto tagging involves assigning the same postcode to each word in an idiomatic expression, marking each with a two-digit number, the first digit of which indicates the total number of words in the expression, while the second indicates the number of the word in the expression. For example,
lemmatization. Lemmatization is a type of annotation that reduces the inflectional variance of words to their respective lexemes or lemmas as they appear in dictionary entries. For example, the lemmas of do, does, did, done, and doing is do, while the lemma for corpus, corpora, and corpusis is corpus. Note that in corpus linguistic, lemmas are conventionally written in small capital letters. Next is parsing. Parsing is a procedure to analyze the sentences in a corpus into their constituents. As parsing often involves assigning phrase markers to constituents using sets of label brackets, parsing is sometimes referred to as bracketing. Parsed corpora also often appear in similar to tree diagrams. They are sometimes known as tree banks. For example, Mary visited a very nice boy can be bracketed as follows. Here, S represents sentence, while NP, VP, and ADGP stand respectively for noun, verb, and adjectival phrases. In terms of the details encoded, parsing can be either full parsing or skeleton or shallow parsing. Whilst the former provides a syntactic analysis which is as detailed as possible, the latter tends to use less fine-grained constituent types. The tree bank is an example of skeleton parsing. Here, for example, all noun phrases are labeled as N, whereas full parsing would distinguish between types of noun phrases, for example, singular versus plural. While skeleton parsing cannot provide as much information as full parsing, it allows for human analysts to parse or post-edit a corpus more speedily and consistently. Since automatic parsing is not yet sufficiently reliable, human parsing or post-editing cannot be completely dispensed with in the tree banking process. Next is semantic annotation. Semantic annotation assigns codes indicating the semantic features or meaning of the semantic fields of the words in a text. In each of these systems, words of corpora are annotated with various symbols denoting their meanings. For instance, in one sim from Wilson and Thomas, each word is assigned a semantic field tag. A word such as cheeks is given the tag body and body parts. A word such as lovely, the tag is aesthetic sentiments, and so forth. Semantic annotation is also referred to as word sense tagging. Annotation of this type is particularly useful in content analysis. For example, find on the basis of a semantically annotated corpus of doctor-patient discourse that patients are more satisfied when doctors use more interactive words like discourse particles, first and second person pronouns, downtoners, and boosters. Next, conference annotation. Conference annotation is a type of discourse level annotation which has been applied to a number of corpora. The major concern of conference annotation is conference identification. For example, the identification of conferential relationships between pronouns and noun phrases. For instance, each anaphor receives a notation specifying the type of anaphor it is. Personal pronouns are marked as being either subject pronouns or SP or object pronouns OP, demonstratives as DE or possessives as POP, and so forth. This type of annotation makes it possible to track how elements of a text are progressively interwoven so that cohesion is achieved, typically through the use of pronouns, repetition, substitution, ellipsis, and so on. Next is pragmatic annotation. Pragmatic annotation is yet another type of annotation at the discourse level. At present, the focus of pragmatic annotation appears to be on speech or dialogue acts in domain-specific dialogue such as doctor-patient discourse and telephone conversations. A good example of speech act or pragmatic annotation is provided by Leach and Visser. They produced an annotation scheme of telephone task-oriented dialogues. The speech act categories including, for example, accept, acknowledge, answer, confirm, correct, direct, echo, exclaim, and greet. In addition to the assignment of these initial speech act categories, the system also supplies supplementary syntactic, semantic, and pragmatic information for each speech act in terms of form, like declarative, yes-no question, WH question, imperative and fragment, polarity like positive or negative, topic like location, name, day, date, time, and railcard related to train journeys, and mode like semantic categories such as dixis, probability, and reasons.
The next material is stylistic annotation. Stylistic annotation is particularly associated with stylistic features in literary texts. It's different from pragmatic annotation, which focuses on speech acts in dialogue. Usually, the aspect of style under the investigation is linguistic representation of people's thought, or often known as speech and thought presentation. The picture here is the example of categories of speech and thought presentation and corresponding text. The left column is the categories and the right column is the acronym or the tag. The example of corpus which has been annotated for categories of speech and thought presentation is the Lancaster Speech, Thought, and Writing Presentation Corpus, which is composed of written component and spoken component, developed from 1994 to 2003. Next is error tagging. Error tagging is a type of annotation which is specifically associated with learner corpora and geared toward language pedagogy. Corpora annotated for learner errors can help to reveal the relative frequency of error types produced by learners of different first language backgrounds and proficiency levels. They are also useful when exploring features of non-native language behavior. At present, a number of error tag learner corpora are available. For example, the Cambridge Learner Corpus and the Longman Learner Corpus, which cover a variety of first language backgrounds, are partly tagged for learner errors. Error tagging schemes vary to some extent from one corpus to another in terms of the number and types of error codes. However, most schemes have in common error types such as omission, addition, and misinformation. The Cambridge scheme, for example, includes 6 general error types such as wrong word from used, something missing, word or phrase that needs replacing, unnecessary word or phrase, and word wrongly derived. Next is problem-oriented annotation. Dehaene coined the term problem-oriented annotation to describe a method of tagging that requires the analyst to define the tags to be used and to assign them manually to the construction to be analyzed. This kind of annotation is necessary and useful for research questions that cannot be addressed using currently available annotation. Problem-oriented annotation differs in 2 fundamental ways from most of the annotation types discussed above. First, it's not exhaustive. Only the phenomenon directly relevant to a particular research question rather than the entire contents of corpus is annotated. Second, it's developed not for its broad coverage and consensus-based theory neutrality, but for its relevance to the specific research question. For the example, Using this annotation, Gross described ways of accounting for time expression, while Mayer and Tan study apposition in English, and Hanston uses this annotation to study how people talk about sameness and difference. Next, embedded and standalone annotation. Experts have so far assumed that the process of annotation leads to information being mixed in the original corpus text or so-called base document when it's applied to a corpus or becomes so-called embedded annotation. Standalone annotation fully addresses one of the criticisms of corpus annotation, namely the wish to be able to view a corpus in its raw form even if it's annotated, though the standalone annotation is not the only solution to this problem. Standalone annotation is principle ideal and is certainly technically feasible. It may also represent the future standard for certain types of annotation. So far, the currently available corpus exploration tools have all been designed for use with embedded annotation. The standalone annotation, while appealing, is only useful when appropriate search tools are available for use on standalone annotated corpora. And then the conclusion. So, corpus annotation is the practice of adding interpretative linguistic information to a corpus. To annotate the corpus means to add information about the text. This information can relate to structures such as documents, paragraphs, sentences, or individual tokens. And adding annotation to a corpus is giving added value which can be used for research by the individual or team that carried out the annotation, but which can also be passed on the others who may find it useful for their own purposes.
Here is the reference that we used to make this presentation. And that's all the presentation from our group about annotation. If you guys have any question, feel free to ask. And we are sorry if we made mistake in this presentation. Thank you so much and have a nice day.